Welcome to 843 TV. I'm your host, Wayne Morris from WHHI TV.
And I'm Carrie Manning from the Village Spa.
And today we're coming to you again from beautiful Spring Island. It's an all Spring Island show. And we are actually standing on a dike that separates the Colleton River from some of these saltwater ponds that they have here, which are great amenity for fishing and doing all types of great things. And our first guest is Tony Mills, and you may know him from his show Coastal Kingdom on ETV. He's going to be telling us about wildlife here on the island, and also he's got a few special guests for us that you don't want to miss.
So our second guest is Carl Olant. He is the ecologist here on the island, here to talk about the Native Plant Project and how he keeps everything natural and keeping the whole cycle going out here at Spring Island, which is always interesting.
Our last guest is John Strother. He is going to be telling us about two fantastic properties here on the island for sale. One is a home and one is a home site. So it's going to be a great show. You don't want to miss it. Be sure you come back for 843 TV,
where communities come to speak.
.843 TV, where Bluffton comes to speak.
Where Spring Island comes to speak.
Where Hilton Head Island comes to speak.
Where Port Royal comes to speak.
.843 TV,
where communities come to speak.
Welcome to 843 TV. We're here this morning with Mr. Tony Mills. He is the Education Director for Spring Island Trust and Lowcountry Institute. How are you?
I'm doing great.
So obviously we're outside on beautiful Spring Island again, but tell everybody, what is your position here on Spring Island?
I'm actually the Education Director for the Spring Island Trust and the Lowcountry Institute, which really means I produce and conduct, well actually along with the rest of the staff, I produce and conduct nature programs for the members here in the surrounding community.
Well, I'm sure you have more than a full-time job, because anybody that's been here, there's a lot of nature to talk about.
It's a great place to have this job.
We've already had a little bit of education before we
I was
even
going to
started
say,
rolling.
this has got to be the biggest classroom anywhere.
Oh, it's awesome.
I mean, everywhere we've been in Spring Island, there's been an aspect of nature that just blows you away, and this today is no different.
Yeah, I agree. It's a beautiful day and beautiful place.
It is.
What type of programs do y'all do at the Lowcountry Institute?
Well, we do, first of all, we've got a really nature-oriented group. So the people that live here are very, a lot of them are birders and just nature enthusiasts of all kinds. So we just gear our programs towards what they want to do. We've got a couple of really great tools. We have wagons that we hook to trucks, and we take people out in the nature preserves and give them a chance to study everything, birds, small mammals, really anything from trillium plants to eagles and everything in between.
It's a pretty broad spectrum.
I love that. I love that wagon, and we do have a bunch of eagles here. I saw one just went right in front of my car coming to work today.
Yeah, it's really good to use those trailers because it gets people in the habitat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We have one of our favorite programs is called Spring Island After Dark, and we will go out in the nature preserves with a big group. At night, we'll call in owls and things like that, look for alligator eye shines at night. You know, it's a lot of fun. And
that has potential to be really creepy.
And the members, I'm sure, just love that. I mean,
they do, yeah. And
I'm
we
sure
love
the crowds and turnouts for those are huge.
Yep.
You've got a great nature center here on the island too, I understand, and that you might have brought some creatures, got something in a bag.
We've got a nature center that's open all the time.
Yeah.
So open 24 hours a day for the members, and we've got the usual representatives that live in the Lowcountry, and especially stuff that lives on Spring Island. And yes, we have a lot of really cool things. Cool. And I brought a couple things to look at.
All right.
I know how to use good props.
You never know what Tony's going to pull out of the bucket.
And here is the first one, and this is an absolutely beautiful animal.
Wow.
So this is called a diamondback
so
terrapin. Looks like this one's shedding a couple of little scoots, those scales on the back of the shell. But diamondback terrapins live right here. They live right in the marsh in front of us. And it's a species that we're really concerned about. I mean, we want to make sure that, you know, these don't disappear from the Lowcountry. And so we actually conduct a little bit of research here on Spring Island looking at this species. And that's one of the other things we do, is we involve members in some of the research projects we're doing on bluebirds, on wood ducks, and in many cases the members kind of take on those research projects and run them.
Yeah, and the colors on this guy are so bold. I mean, I've seen turtles a bunch, but this one just, it looks like a animation or something you'd see in a movie. It really does.
This is an animal that lives only in the salt marsh. It's not freshwater, only in salt water. And it, it's the color really of the pluff mud when you think about it. It doesn't look as drab as pluff mud, but it blends in very well in the habitat it lives in.
It's the cutest turtle I've
ever
seen.
Eats,
is he a biter or no?
I wouldn't.
Don't tempt fate.
You might think your finger's a shrimp or a fiddler crab or something like that. But yeah, beautiful, beautiful animal, and one we want to take care of.
Absolutely, it's beautiful.
And how big did you say those guys will get?
This is a young female. This one was born in captivity. It'll get maybe almost as big as a football. It's an adult female. Males don't get any bigger than this, so they stay smaller than the females.
That's awesome.
Anyway, so this one.
But you have another little secret back here in your bag.
I also brought a bag.
This one maybe not as friendly.
I always like to kind of feel the bag to make sure that what I think is in it really is. And so let's pull out these little guys.
You say guys, like there's more than one?
Yeah, there are two.
Oh,
and they are baby American alligators.
Oh my gosh.
And if you want to hold one of these.
Can I hold it?
Yep.
Wow.
Aren't they sweet?
And so these are obviously little guys, but as adults, if they're males, they may grow to be 10 feet long.
That is
If they're females, maybe only 7 or 8 feet long.
It's hard to believe
now,
they started
this small.
How old
are these?
Well, in fact, these are a year old. These were born in captivity.
They're a year old?
Right.
They're even small.
And so these are ones that we hatched out in captivity, or they were hatched in captivity, and we use them as educational animals.
Now, will these ever go back into the wild? Or will you
these
guys
will
keep
not.
them
No,
for
they'll
research?
end up, even as they get bigger, going to other educational groups, zoos and such.
They're, the mothers are very maternal about these things, aren't they?
They were yelping. I don't know if you. They were just kind of yelping away earlier, and generally that's our call for mom. It's pretty cool today, and I don't.
We'll see.
We're keeping an eye out.
As we're all looking over our shoulders.
But fascinating animals, part of the Lowcountry, and we want to take care of these too. They can be a little inconvenient at times, but the reality is alligators are an important part of the ecosystem.
And they were here long before we were.
That's exactly right.
So obviously this is a fascinating place to work, but what's your favorite part about working at Spring Island?
We have 2 big nature preserves, and I like spending time just in natural areas. I also really like to spend time, not only do I like to experience nature myself, but I like to do it with other people as well. And I get a lot of opportunities to do that.
Yeah.
Seeing things for the second, third, or fourth time with other people is often just as good as seeing it for the first time yourself.
Well, one segment's not long enough, but quickly tell everybody about the TV program that you do here in the Lowcountry.
Yeah, we do a TV program called Coastal Kingdom. I work with the County Channel and Rob Lewis. And we film a lot on Spring Island because it's a beautiful place and a lot of things to see here.
Yeah.
And it's on local plants, local animals, occasional plants. And we just show people what lives here, and what we want to do is get people excited about what they have so that they're going to do the best possible job at taking care of it.
So that we take care of it and it
Exactly.
lasts forever.
It's a very well done show. You do a great job on it. So if you haven't seen that, make sure you check it out.
Well, we love doing it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for being with us today. That was a very cool little off thing that we normally don't do, so it's always fun to have those. So make sure that you come right back for more 843 TV.
Welcome back to 843 TV. We are now joined by Mr. Carl Olant. And Carl, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
So you're on the Spring Island, you're with the Spring Island Trust, and you're the landscape ecologist. So tell us about your position and what your duties here are at Spring Island.
Sure. I work on management of the land, both private, community properties, as well as the nature preserves on the island, and also serve as a resource for our Architectural Review Board, which we call the Habitat Review Board, and work with the Native Plant Project on the island.
So when you say landscape ecologist, does that mean that any kind of landscape changes have to be approved and follow a certain guideline, or how does that work?
That's true, particularly through the review board.
Okay.
I work and consult with them when they get plans in. I look over to make sure the plans for the construction fit with the natural area of that particular
And that's great, because
lot.
that preserves what a great community it is.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's sort of being a good steward of this great environment and protecting that investment that people have made in this place.
Yeah.
So Carl, what's involved in managing a nature preserve?
Well, we fortunately actually have 2 500-acre nature preserves on the island, so we try to promote diversity in those and manage them for that. So we might use prescribed burning in some of the forest areas. We do planting of trees and vegetation in fields. We do some bush hogging or mowing of areas, some timbering, and areas like the ponds and all on the island we will flood at certain times of the year and manage for fish and things like that.
Like the one right behind us?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah,
You've done a great job.
Thanks.
Can you tell us how you work with residents to, I know, native plants and the natural environment is really important, and people coming from other areas aren't really familiar with the Lowcountry and how it is. How do you work with them?
Well, it's a really important part of the island because actually the privately owned property on the island, the lots, are make up a third of the whole island. So if we're managing the whole island and the habitats on the island, that's a very important part of it. So I work with the landscape contractors as well as the members in the community to manage their natural areas, their views, the property around the home, to plant native plants, but also to manage the areas that are on there to make it better for the wildlife and for habitat for people and for the wildlife.
Well, what exactly is the Native Plant Project?
Oh, great project actually. It started as a project whereby we could rescue plants from construction sites when the houses are going to be built. Unfortunately something has to make room, right. So we would rescue those, and but it's evolved from that now. We've got a greenhouse and a nursery. We propagate plants from seed and divisions. We've got probably 70 volunteers. It's primarily run by volunteers, members of this community, and we've got over 100 species of plants we now grow and 3,000 to 4,000 plants in the nursery. And we grow and sell those and use them on the island here, but we also have sales for the public to come and buy.
That's a great idea. I always think about that, especially going down 278 with all this mass construction going on. I'm always like, can I take your ferns? I think that there's a million of them, with all the construction going on. And I always wondered, is there, I guess you guys, obviously, yes, there is a program out there where you almost recycle and upcycle and
absolutely
and inform. So that
absolutely, it protects and recycles that plant material and maintains that important aspect of the wildlife here on the island. So.
And as we talk about the native plant, why is that so important to you and to this community?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's important to all of us, not only for the aesthetics of it. Our native plants are beautiful plants, but I talk about kind of 3 main reasons that they're important. One is sense of place. If you think about it, the plants in a place really tell you where you are. I mean, when you think of the Lowcountry of South Carolina, you think of what? Palmettos, live oaks, Spanish moss, things like that. It's plants that tell you where you are.
Right.
So we want to protect that sense of place. Then also there's the aspect of maintenance. When you're maintaining your landscape, if the plants are already adapted to this place, this climate, the soils, the rainwater that we get, there's going to be less maintenance involved in maintaining those, and we're all for less maintenance. That's when right. It comes to that. And the third reason is because of wildlife and things like Tony's little surprises he brought for us. But down to the insects that are adapted to eating the specific native plants that are here, the birds that feed on those insects and those plants. If we replace them with plants that aren't here, then the wildlife that's adapted along with those plants won't have anything to eat.
Everything's connected.
Absolutely. So
and I asked Tony this, I asked you the same thing. This is such a magnificent place. What's your favorite part about working here?
Oh, wow. Yeah, well, that it is such a beautiful place. But I love working here because of the environments, the diversity that's here, but because this is a place that attracts people who also love that. And I love working with those people that are as enthusiastic as I am about what's here and about protecting it.
Some of the residents, I'm sure, take advantage of your knowledge and you educate them and work with them. What are some ways that you interact with the residents?
Well, that Native Plant Project is a big way. I mean, when you've got 70 or more people who volunteer their time to be involved in that, I think it's probably the largest volunteer group on the island.
I think that's something else that makes this island so unique. every time we come up here, everybody is involved with something. Everybody has a hand in something keeping this place as beautiful as it is. And I just think that's a very, very neat
It is. It is.
asset.
They've, as they say, they've drank the Kool-Aid.
Yes, they have.
Well, thank you so much for being with us and sharing some information.
I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Enjoy it.
And stay with us. We'll be back with more 843 TV. Welcome back to 843 TV. We now have the pleasure to be joined by John Strother, who is the broker in charge here at Spring Island Real Estate. John, thanks for being with us.
I'm happy to be here.
It's always a pleasure to be here, I'll tell you that. And where we're at today is pretty unique. There's a saltwater pond behind us. Tell us about that. Is that unique? Are there more of these around the island? Tell us a little bit about it.
No, these are just wonderful environments. We have 3 of these salt ponds. This is called Otter Pond, we have Shrimp Pond, and then we have the Great Salt Pond, which is really huge. We just got finished refurbishing that. But we have 3 of these on the island, stocked with redfish and flounder and crabs. And
All sounds very yummy.
It's really a fisherman's dream. And we're sitting on a dike right now that separates the Carleton River and Spring Island, you know, from us. And this is also a horseback riding trail, walking trail, trail bike riding, you know, bicycling. It's just a fantastic.
It's not a bad view.
No, it isn't. It's
What
pretty
a nice amenity to have in your backyard, a pond stocked with all those great fish.
Oh, I know.
And
It's
the trails
just,
here.
just amazing. It's like a seafood market. And so we have 3 of these, 32 of the freshwater ponds that are managed for, you know, bass and
Those are
crappie
stocked
and
as
stuff
well?
like that. Yes.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. Fishing's a big part of the island. And then we have 32 miles of these trails.
And so if you didn't live right here, you could still come here and fish, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite spots on the
It's
island.
nice.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Well, speaking of beautiful, let's highlight obviously one of the most important parts of the island, which is the real estate.
Yes.
Tell everybody a little bit about 271 Spring Island Drive.
Oh, that's you know, a lot of times we'll have the big houses here, and that's a cottage. It's a small cottage. It was designed by Peter Brower. He's a local architect. He actually lives here in Spring Island. BRZ Architecture. He's done a lot of homes here, and it's a small little red cottage with a corrugated tin roof, you know, and it was originally designed as a weekend home, and people started spending more time here, so they added on to it. But it has so many neat features. You go in, it's just this great space, fireplace, beams across the ceiling, opens into a really great screen-in porch with just this mood lighting around. You walk out of that into an outdoor shower. It's a really nice outdoor shower. I love that. Small kitchen, because it was designed as a second home. It has a copper sink and a wood counter. And then the nice thing is they added on to it, they added a pantry, a butler's pantry, and a master suite, and a garage. So you go down there, and the hallway is a gallery, what we call a gallery. And there are a lot of those here. You know, you don't go through hallways that are dark, but you have windows to one side, and they open into the different
Because there's so
things.
much natural sunlight in almost all of these houses. They're all positioned perfectly to where the sun rises and sets. But obviously there's plenty to look at out here, so you want to see where you're at.
Yeah, and you're always exposed, and then we have the nature curtains around the home site, so, you know, it's just, you want to bring the outdoors in. And they have a wonderful fire pit out there. It's a 3-acre site, and it's $695, and we've had a lot of interest in that, and I think we have an offer on it now.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, we talk about it every time. I mean, an architecture professor could come here and teach a class just by going through these neighborhoods, because I mean the unique designs and the thought that goes into every single one of these buildings is just fantastic.
When it's diverse. That's what I know I say that every time, but that's what I love about it. Every house is unique.
Yeah.
They don't look like little cookie cutters. Well, in case you want to build a home, talk about the home site to Pinckney Point.
Well, that's a neat one. That's got a great story. John Cochran in 1695, 1697, had a grant from the king to get 5,000 acres between Charleston and Savannah. So let's say that you had your pick between Charleston and Savannah. Here you go. Off you go.
I'd
what are you going to do? Yeah. Well, he picked Pinckney Point, that Walker Landing area. And that's a wonderful little neighborhood. It almost looks like Bay Street in Beaufort or Rainbow Row in Charleston, you know, homes lined up on the river on a high bluff. So he was up on this high bluff, well protected, looking across at the mainland, and he built a Indian trading post there. So it was protected from, you know, floods with the high elevation, and also Indian attacks because of the water. You can see everybody coming. So it's the safest home site in Beaufort County.
He was a smart guy, wasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. So you don't ever have to worry about Indians, you know, when you're right there.
Yeah.
So that's a wonderful site. It has a deep water dock there. You can walk. You just walk right over to the fitness center, the pool, the post office, the river house. It's the ultimate inconvenience. The stables are right there. So
What's the size of that lot? Do you know?
it's about half an acre. So you don't have a lot of maintenance.
Not a ton of maintenance, but enough space for some privacy.
Yep, and little picket fence, nice little garden area, you know. So it's just a real different environment from the rest of Spring Island. It's the last remaining home site there. And,
oh, really?
Yes, and
that's a great spot because of the convenience, like you were saying.
Yeah.
You can walk to everything.
To the amenities. Speaking of amenities, y'all have got so many here. Every time we come, it seems like we're talking about a new set.
We add a new one.
But there's an event surrounding that topic coming up. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh yeah, it's we're having our artist showcase event at the Art Barn, and there'll be over 100 works of art displayed by Spring Island artists.
Okay.
It's just an amazing, that's, you know, like the landscaping, the nature that Carl was talking about and Tony, but the art community here is just incredible. And so we have all these on display for 3 days.
Okay.
And so it's for Spring Island residents. And this year we're opening it up for 1 day for 2 hours to area real estate agents to come in and just get a sample of why Spring Island is different,
Okay.
why our members are different, how they take themselves from one level from their everyday life, and then when they came here, the things that they've done, you know, done differently.
What's the date on that? On the open house?
It's February the 19th, 20th, and 21st.
Okay. Check the website
Yeah.
for sure.
We'll put it on the ticker.
Well, thank you so much for highlighting another beautiful home and home site for us. It's always a pleasure to talk real estate with you.
Well, thanks for having me.
And thank you for watching 843 TV.
Where communities come to speak.